Hey guys, my name is Jennifer, and I keep on trying to make it not be so bright yellow. And this is making me. So, anyways, but in this post, I've been talking about good intentions and about the difference between like doing the things or trying to do the things that God wants you to do, and then actually doing what He wants you to do, and kind of where, and a lot of times people miss the personhood of God, and it's like, oh well, I'm a Christian now, so I want this to happen in my life, and I want this to go on, or like this is what a Christian is, and so they're supposed to do X, Y, and Z. And just on how like a lot of people go into Christianity thinking that like, oh, I need to, I don't know, read my Bible or do a Bible study or help once a year or once a month with this charity, and then I'll be classified a Christian and I'll have all of my worksheet filled out or any of that, and just kind of on how there's a huge difference between like trying to do those works and then trying to like actually pursue God. Because really, when we're saved to have a very intimate relationship with God. It's the closest relationship you can have. It's like your healer and your comforter and your lover and your admirer and your protector and your help. Like all of those things. And to really be that, you have to get to know God on a very, very deep level. And to do that, you have to start reading the Word and start, doing all those things. But I think the big thing is that people miss kind of that that area of. I have a good story to that. The parable of the prodigal son, right? A lot of people, if you're not a Christian, you won't know this story, but it's in, let me look, it's in Luke 15, 11 through 32, and it's about this son, and this father, he has two sons, and they both have an inheritance coming to them, and then the younger son, he gets impatient, and he's like, I don't want to wait until he goes to his father, and he says, I don't want to wait until you die. I want this inheritance now. I don't want to have to wait this long, and he keeps on pushing for it. And so the father gives it to him, and the son moves away, and he spends, this large fortune. Sorry, spends this large fortune on drink and partying and girls and all of that. Very, very worldly, very sinful. And so he does all of those kind of worldly things. He spends all of his money. He runs out of money, and then he's in the poorhouse, and he's had to like work different places. He's had to work as a servant or as a slave, and at one point he was working in a pigsty, and he was like eating the slops that the pigs didn't even eat, and he was just brought so low. And so he traveled back to his father and to his family, and he was going there, and in his mind he's thinking, okay, I'm gonna, like, and it took him a lot of courage to go back, just in his humbled state, and he's like, I'm gonna just be like, if you'll just let me be a servant, if you'll just let me like eat the scraps off the table, I'll, not expecting anything more, because he really mistreated his father in that, like, he was just like very impatient, and he misused his fortune, and it was half of his father's income that he gave him as his inheritance. And so he came back, and his father saw him from the window, and he came running out to him and embraced him and is like, my son has returned. And just like the love that that father showed him, and then the father like killed the fattened calf and had this party celebrating his son's return. And it was unthinkable to this young son who had completely gone astray and come back, and the father was just as happy and just as loving at seeing him. um, and then, but I think what, like, so that's the story a lot of people know as Christians, but the part that people don't see is that there were two sons. And the second son, the older son, had always been with the father, and he had never asked for his inheritance. He had always, done the moral thing, and he'd always done exactly what he was supposed to be doing. But when he saw this party that the father was giving, he was really upset. He's like, I've been here. I deserve the fattened calf. I deserve that inheritance. This son went off and like spent all this money, and he like messed around, and I've been here and I've been working hard. Like I am entitled to that. Like, why, I'm not happy about him coming back. He doesn't deserve any of this. And I think that the really interesting thing is both those sons were lost. Both the younger son was very blatantly lost because he fell away and he was doing all of the things that are, deemed worldly, and then the older son, was still lost, even though it wasn't as visible, because like even though he was doing all of those like step by step moral things, he's like, I'm here, I'm working hard, but like he missed the whole purpose, which was like loving his father. You know what I mean? Like the younger son came back and he loved his father and his father loved him. But the older son, like he was doing all of those moral things for the inheritance. He wasn't doing it because he loved his father. And so he expected and he thought he deserved that inheritance because he was doing those moral things instead of doing it because he loved his father and his father giving him that inheritance as a gift, which is what it was. And so I think for us, like that is such a huge thought and a huge concept, either as a non-Christian or as a Christian, that like if if you're a Christian and you're not pursuing God and pursuing Him, you're pursuing those either objects or like I want this to happen in my life, or I want to be prosperous, or I want I want to marry a godly person, or I want my life to be happy and joyous and all of that. Like you're missing the real focus of your Christian walk. So, anyways, uh, keep on looking on my blog for more posts and more video comments and all of that, and I'll keep on updating. All right, thanks.